Hey, we are live and it's Degen Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of Go FUD Yourself. JD Gagnon here, my good friend Kiara. What is going on?
Okay, so it wasn't a very degen day today. Like I tried to scour a bunch of network news, and I don't know, most of the announcements are pretty big. So it's kind of like a high level degen day. There's no degen deep dives today.
No super deep dives, but we do have some pretty interesting things to talk about. Just a quick reminder, we're a live show Monday to Friday. So when we say or do dumb things,
it's real.
It is real. If we have technical difficulties with our
producer, real too.
With our producer still away, that's also a real problem. But anyways, we're here Monday to Friday, live show, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We're all over on every platform, Twitter Spaces, Twitter Live Video, Facebook,
everywhere,
YouTube, Twitch, everywhere. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, help us spread the love. Okay, Kiara.
Okay, we're going to start with
what are we talking about?
We're going to start with PancakeSwap, but that gets a little bit interesting because a lot of that news has been pulled. And then we have to talk about how Chainlink is already helping base out and what that means for everyone else who thought they were going to get to do that. And then we have Circle. I know that that's been hot in crypto Twitter and the programmable wallets. That'll probably be a lot more conjecture. People already know about that news. We've got a couple of weird security things to talk about. So the RCMP are now using Chainalysis, which is super exciting. And I like this one, AI deepfakes posing a threat to KYC. Part of why I like this one is that I was talking about deepfakes and aliens like for most of my night last night. So that might get a little bit too tin hat for you, JD. And then if we have time, we're going to talk about The Apprentice of Crypto, as in like TV, crypto TV.
The next crypto gem.
Yeah.
Right. All right. For everybody that's listening on Twitter Spaces, you're going to hear, we play a little video. It's 24 seconds long. I think I figured out how to make it so you can hear the music. But if you don't, just bear with us for 1 minute.
You're so tech savvy. Oh my God.
No, this is like about as Frankenstein as it gets. Anyways, let's fucking go. All right, we are back.
I like it. I don't mind that it's Frankenstein together, but that's the hustle.
Hey, we gotta do what we gotta do on this budget that we've got, which is zero.
Which is none.
Well, actually,
which is the merch you've already picked up on your own.
Yeah, the stuff I went and got for free. Anyways, quick shout out to Gnosis or Safe.
Nice.
Today we're in the Safe merch. It's got a really cool graphic on the back.
Let me see. Is that tombstones?
I don't know what it is.
No, it's like a bank. I thought it was a crypt, but it's like a safe, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, it's a safe.
Yeah, anyway. I guess that's reasonable.
That's a cool shirt. So shout out to Gnosis and Gnosis Safe. Okay, so where should we start? Let's start with.
We're gonna start with PancakeSwap. So I woke up to this news that PancakeSwap has launched on Arbitrum, which I mean seems great. But what's really interesting about it, I mean, let's talk about that, and then I'll talk about it getting pulled.
Holy moly, you're getting so far ahead of yourself.
I'm excited today.
So PancakeSwap is the second largest DEX by like a mile in volume. And it's kind of been the go-to on BNB chain. It was created by Binance. I think they passed it off and it's now managed mainly by a DAO, but Binance obviously has a very outsized amount of influence over that. And Binance recently has been talking about trying to expand beyond just BNB chain for some of its assets, BUSD and BNB, the token itself. They're making it bridgeable to a lot of different networks and trying to create liquidity. So I mean, I'm kind of surprised by this one because I mean, I
don't know if they're going to expand beyond BNB. Arbitrum's a pretty.
It is a good spot, I think. Yeah, and so. I mean, this is okay. It'll be interesting to see what their volumes look like because I believe Uniswap V3 is already on Arbitrum. So
I'm stoked. It is. Yeah, Uniswap's already on Arbitrum. But I think this is also interesting because we have to be cross-chain now. Everyone has to be cross-chain. And if someone who has as much market share as PancakeSwap is choosing to go cross-chain, that's a good signal that you should too.
Well, I think Uniswap taking that step after years, finally going, multi-chain is probably motivating from a competitive standpoint for Pancake. But then, so what happened? Okay, so they were talking about this.
So I don't know what happened, but I was looking at news, and I always try to look at more than one news source so that my tin hat sits properly and doesn't fall off my head during the show. And I try to make sure that I have the facts and that I've checked them out and that nobody can refute us here, because I don't want to spread false information. That's the whole point of Go FUD Yourself. And all the news sources except for Beamstart has actually pulled this headline. So if you take a look at PancakeSwap, Arbitrum on Cointelegraph, or any of our regular kind of news sources,
it was originally announced on CoinDesk by the Chef Coco, which is like one of the leading devs.
But all of the articles, like all of the URLs exist, but they're all 404ing. So I don't know if there was a mistake that everybody's updating, or if they weren't supposed to announce it yet. Maybe there was,
or maybe they're getting DDoSed.
Ooh,
that's possible.
Well, I don't know. I guess we'll find out like within a couple hours. I can't imagine that this will continue to be semi-secret. I was thinking maybe there was a media embargo that someone effed up.
That could be true. I mean,
yeah, and they all pulled. Because then they're not deleting the URL, right? Because they're still going to use that URL when they actually launch the article, but maybe the article. So we don't know. Let us know if you know.
Yeah. Send us a note.
All right. So there's quite a few different launches. Again, most of them are pretty large. The next one is Chainlink. So Chainlink is now supporting Base. Their price feeds have been integrated, which I guess is pretty exciting. It's a pretty obvious choice, if you ask me, but it's also, I don't know, it's a pretty fast move.
Yeah, I mean, so Chainlink has been it's been interesting watching where and how Chainlink expands. They've now started requesting incredibly high amounts of token supply to launch in new ecosystems early. Otherwise, they wait until the ecosystems hit a critical mass. I suspect there's a combination of a deep relationship between Coinbase and Chainlink, naturally, A, and B, I think, the volumes in the first couple of days were obviously interesting for Chainlink. So I think there's probably a little bit of payment that happened, although there's no token for the ecosystem. So it may have been cashed or something else. And then there's probably just a little bit of like, a Brian Armstrong bromance with Sergey, and they
that makes sense.
Got together and yeah. Anyways, so it's
kind
of interesting.
Nepotism exists?
No, never, especially not in blockchain. But yeah, who knows? I mean, I think it's obviously good. Oracles and having a reliable and respected oracle is critical to an ecosystem. So it's good to see that Chainlink is embracing new ecosystems like this very early on, and I think it's good for Base. It's good for the growth of the space, especially for US KYC users. So it's good.
So on the growth of the space and embracing those who already exist, do you think that this is a signal that Base is going to work with more partners as opposed to building things themselves? Is that like good news for our ecosystem, or is that too much conjecture for you?
No, I think, oracles are very difficult to build. And there's some theories, I don't know which side I sit on this, but there's some theories that suggest that there's a mathematical proof for why there's only room for one major oracle provider. Okay. And the reason for that is just critical mass. You need a certain size of network effects for the oracles to be meaningfully reliable. And so if you fragment that amongst many different oracles in different ecosystems, none of them are meaningfully secure. And so all of this to say, I don't think Chainlink ever would build their own oracle, but not Chainlink, Base, for a whole host of reasons, probably liability and 10 bazillion other things. But it also takes a lot of work and a lot of active management. So you need a proper and fairly large team. I think Chainlink has like thousands of people that are employed there. So, I mean, obviously we have some really good relationships with other oracle providers, but Chainlink is still the industry standard. So, I mean, it's not really conjecture. I never thought that Base would build their own oracle. I just assumed it would be a smaller oracle provider that would come first, and Chainlink would come, a few months later like normal, but they were able to expedite it. So that's good.
Yeah, exciting. All right.
Yeah.
And then kind of the last on our launches, on our product launches, is the programmable wallet from Circle. So this is kind of cool. It's in public beta right now, so you can go try it on ETH, Avalanche, Polygon. They are planning to expand and be additionally multi-network. I'm not exactly sure why people love this so much because, well, if you're a dev, probably any wallet was programmable to some end. So what is kind of the value add here? Why are people stoked about this?
Yeah, so this has been kind of one of the big challenges over the last few years in the space is that there's a lot of people building app-specific wallets now because the wallets that exist just aren't flexible enough to be able to adapt to certain protocols' needs. So what's happening is a lot of these companies are spinning up new companies to build a wallet, trying to raise money on it, which worked during a bull market, but doesn't work during a bear market. Nobody cares about investing in wallets. And so one of the challenges is also, do you want a ton of your dev team building a wallet, or is wallet infrastructure as a service something that is pretty relevant? And we're seeing that with MetaMask, obviously. MetaMask exploded. A few other ecosystems have tried their own wallets. They're sticky, they're clunky. So Circle has been in and around the space for a long time. So they do have a good understanding, I think, of the underlying technology. It's not a new team that's trying to figure this out from scratch. So programmable wallets are really, I think, the next meaningful step. Another group that we're really close with, Guardian, is doing something I would say probably more sophisticated and a little bit more complex than this, but similar idea in terms of being programmable and wallets as a service, kind of like Lego blocks for wallets. And it'll enable a lot of like blockchain to not blockchain communication. And there's just a bunch of things that are made a lot more efficient if you have these types of wallets. And in this particular case, Circle was talking about using crypto for payments. If there's a wallet that is programmable, you could do a lot more things to adhere to compliance and all of that stuff, regulation in different jurisdictions. So I think all in all, this is exciting. I like to see Circle. I like to see some big names come out with something other than MetaMask. And so this I think is great. Nothing against MetaMask. I mean, obviously it's done us very well, but for sure, they're printing money the way that they're doing it. It's very inflexible. There's room for someone else.
This is exciting too, because when you think about wallets and some of the advanced features that being programmable might provide, is we're moving closer and closer to full financial accounts, right? So at some point when your wallet is able to auto pay, auto deposit, etc., all on chain, now you have a really good use case for transitioning out of your bank account. And I know that some companies like Spritz work on that, right?
Exactly. I was just about to say, our friends at Spritz, it's actually really cool. You can pay like your mortgage. You can pay
really cool.
Like any recurring bill payments you can pay with Spritz. It's really cool. Directly from crypto. And the fees are insanely low relative to, the process of selling, the asset into a stable, the stable into fiat, transferring the fiat, paying everybody along the way their fees. I mean, in some cases, it can be 10, 15% by the time you're done. Depends how far you got to move things. So, I like it.
That's cool.
I think it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's kind of all of our good news. That's all of the news that's like fantastic, and everyone has launches. You like the Canadian police one? Okay.
Yeah, the Canadian police piece I think is good, mainly because I'm a fan of Chainalysis and have been for a long time. And I talk often about how Chainalysis' largest clients are the IRS, Department of Justice, CIA, the SEC in America. And the reason that I talk about this all the time is because if you think for a second that we're not as sophisticated in terms of, and more sophisticated in terms of tracking and forensics than fiat, then it's absolutely incorrect. So this to me is a good sign that more and more people are starting to embrace the fact that we do have technologies that can in fact manage and help with a lot of the friction, I think, that people complain about in the space or have complained about in terms of, all these hacks and exploits and all this stuff. We're getting to the point now where it's becoming less and less and less likely that people will get away with this stuff, which is very, very good. So I'm excited to see that the RCMP, being from Canada myself, obviously, when I was scammed a few years ago, if the RCMP had this technology, they probably could have found the $250,000 that I was scammed out of. But they didn't have the tech at the time.
Hey, what's the statute of limitations on that? Can you go back?
Maybe. I don't have time nor energy for that.
I'll do that for $250,000. Can I get a bounty for doing that for you?
Yeah, but it's in Europe, so you'll probably have to fly to Europe all the time, deal with Interpol. Like, it's freaking night. I mean, I just looked at it and I said, okay, what is the total amount of effort I might have to put in to recover this $250,000? And if I put that effort into anything else, can I earn that much and more? And the answer is absolutely. So,
So one thing that I think is cool about this is it isn't just the RCMP and it isn't just the Calgary Police. So if you didn't follow the Canadian news before, the Calgary Police were the first ones to open the Cryptocurrency Investigation Center. And now there's a Western Canada Cryptocurrency Investigation Center. So they're working with Chainalysis and it's starting to really proliferate throughout Canada, which is a pretty cool thing. But of course, the downside of this is that people who are super into crypto, super into DeFi hate that they might be able to track you down. So the idea is that you can not only trace blockchain transactions, but also identify suspects, and which could lead to arrests and that kind of thing. And of course, that's great from an enforcement sort of point of view, but not great from a DeFi ethos point of view.
Again, I mean, I'm going to keep banging on this drum until I don't have to anymore. But like, if anybody thinks that they have privacy in the space, they are generally speaking misinformed. You don't have privacy. Everything can be tracked one way or another, almost everything. There are some small gaps in how you can get away with being completely private, but all it takes is one misstep and everything you've done is now exposed. And with enough time, most people will make a mistake eventually. And so, I mean, yeah, people kick and scream because there was this illusion of privacy for so long.
Yeah.
But in the last like 3, 4, 5 years, there's not that much privacy anymore. And rightly so. I mean, we need things like Chainalysis to give the general public enough confidence and regulators enough confidence to be able, to scale and grow the space. So, man, I got the hiccups. It's ridiculous. I don't know.
Okay, well, in the concept of how much can people really know about your identity, we now have AI, deepfakes, and KYC.
So
you were talking about this the other day. You were like, how hard can it actually be to identify somebody's ID, and how hard can it be to identify when an ID is fake? But what if the whole thing is a deep fake? What if you steal someone's idea and then
it's kind of funny because I hadn't actually thought about this, but the AI deepfakes already, and like we're just scratching the surface of training these models. But like my kids watch some pretty insane deepfakes of like. There's one group in particular that always has this Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama deepfake with video.
That's right.
And voice. And it's like really good. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, if you didn't know that it was a deepfake, you might be like, what? Obviously, they say really dumb stuff. So you instantly know that it's not those real.
But even a lot of this alien stuff, if you watch some of them, it's pixelated, and which ones are real and which ones aren't real, and are any of them real?
This is, in my opinion, this is going to be a huge thing coming, in the next decade. Over the next decade, we're going to see, because as the technology advances, I mean, you can do insane stuff. So a friend that I was talking to a little while ago that does a lot of podcasts and a lot of like videos there's an AI now apparently that will dub your video in a different language. So it'll translate it, but it'll also change how your mouth moves so that you're mouthing the words of that language. Unbelievable. And that already exists. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before, we really are going to have structures and systems on how to assess whether stuff is deepfake. At some point, I think if regulation comes in, they might insist that any of these deepfakes have watermarks or something. Go ahead.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, HeyGen, just because you were talking about the language, HeyGen, which is an AI company, says that their avatar technology can already mimic unique accents and speech patterns. So if you even have a video, like if us doing this video every day, somebody would be able to use these videos to create a deepfake of us, right? And because they have so much information to learn from. Whereas if you've never put a video out of yourself online, then there's less of that information to learn from.
Yeah, I saw another really cool. Another thing yesterday, I don't know where the hell I saw this, but they've got this thing now that will listen to keyboard typing.
Yeah, I saw that.
and can tell what characters you're typing and recreate the messages. How insane is that? Yeah. Based on the sound and the time it takes in between keystrokes and all this other stuff. Insane.
That's what, now people are going to start using the various keyboard layouts just to avoid that type
of... Just to mess with people, yeah. Or like...
okay, so the other thing about... Sorry.
So I was just going to say, if you get a mechanical keyboard, they're so freaking loud that maybe that'll mess with it. I don't know. Last one, reality TV.
No. The other thing about this that I think is important to note is that CZ said that you shouldn't trust even videos. He said if somebody sends you a video, don't necessarily send them coins. And what's interesting about that is that BNB's KYC or Binance's KYC process currently involves a video. And so they are now looking at how to update that to overcome deepfake technology, which is like a whole different type of job we didn't know we were going to have. I mean, but expect KYC to change, I guess is what I'm saying.
There were already ways that people were getting around fake KYCs already. Like there was ways to use Photoshop and other things to like really mess with it. But then the video seemed to solve that. But now, I mean...
Well, but are we going to move to biometrics, and how hard are biometrics to deal with? I mean, we talked about WorldCoin and being able to scan people's retinas from a distance. So like, I don't know. Maybe there just is no answer other than appealing to people's ethics. Like,
I guess we'll find out. I think regulators are well, if it wasn't Kamala Harris that was in charge of this in America, we might see some intelligent discourse on it. But I mean, there will be some version of regulation at some point. Elon is pushing really hard.
Political. Can you imagine anyone else who would do a good job? Because like I can't.
I'm not sure I know anybody that would do it. Elon or someone.
Sure, but like I mean, anyone in politics who's going to do a good job? Like no.
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of people in the House that have some experience with tech. Like Kamala's was a district attorney. She's a defense attorney before that, or prosecutor before that. I mean, this is like so outside of her wheelhouse. Like why it's strange, very strange. Anyway.
All right. Ready for like a happy-go-lucky story at the end?
Yes.
So we actually talked about this when they were casting for it. I wanted people to get casted, and I don't know anyone who went and tried out, but the show, The Next Crypto Gen, is a reality show where crypto people are going to battle for a 6-figure prize, which kind of tells me that they're probably not super in crypto.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're really good, then you could probably earn that anyways.
Yeah, like it's $150,000. I'm assuming USD that you can win. 16 people are going to compete for it. There's judges, there's guest stars. They even got BitBoy on there. And like, and so it's kind of like Shark Tank and The Apprentice. So there's some sort of like business component. And the idea is that crypto will come to mainstream audiences. But again, like the average crypto founder isn't going on this show because the average crypto founder knows that if they focus and do a good job, they're going to make more than $150,000.
Or so, if you have a decent concept, you can just go and raise a heck of a lot more than 150,000. Now, the flip side of that, though, is these reality TV show type things generally increase people's clout, social clout, significantly. True. So if you're like trying to grow a following or trying to become more and more relevant in the space, this would be a good thing. I mean, I would never do
that's why I was going to try out for Farming for Love, was to increase my clout. But
yeah, I don't think anybody watches that shit. But maybe.
Did you know Farming for Love across South Africa and Australia has produced over 450 children?
Really?
They just launched the show in Canada, and I was like, "What is this garbage?" And that's why I know this.
It was a big thing in the U.S. for a minute too. I think.
Was it? I didn't see it in America.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So this is interesting. I think whatever. Anytime we can get more mainstream exposure for the space, I think it's a good thing. Hopefully, the people that were selected as contestants are
reasonable,
charismatic enough that people actually want to watch, and the show is not a complete flop. But if it's a success, I think it's really smart. Someone's going to make a pile of money. It'll be like the next Survivor series or some nonsense.
Yeah.
Or Shark Tank, which has been around for 400 seasons, right? So
yeah, since I was in the womb.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anywho, all right.
The only thing I have to say about the next Crypto Gem is that it's not on a great network. So like the other shows on this network are like The Reality of Love and Beauty Boss. So like shows you have never heard of. So I'm a little bit concerned about nobody seeing it, I guess. But
the first season, maybe, hopefully it'll get picked up by like Netflix or Amazon or something later. But we'll see. I mean, my wife watches these like ridiculous reality TV. Yeah, but she doesn't really like actively watch it. Like it's on while she's doing other stuff. And I'm like, why? Why do you watch this stuff? And she's like, honestly, it's brainless. Like it's just you could watch it and you're not thinking, but it's just distracting enough that you're also not thinking about other stuff. So it's like a good. Anyways, I'm not.
Go join the next Crypto Gem if you want some Twitter clout. I don't know.
There you go, Twitter clout. Join Crypto Gem. So quick reminder, we're a live show Monday to Friday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Like, share, subscribe, help us share the love. And with that today, Kiara, I say to you,
go FUD yourself.
Go FUD yourself. Later.